So ever since I've been a little girl, whether it's in the massages, whether it's in my grandmother's house, whether it's during a class, all, the grandparents, the teachers, the elders, they put such a heavy emphasis on reciting Surah Al-Baqarah. I know some elders in the family who have carried this habit over decades, and made it a non-negotiable in their lives to recite. There are a few verses, especially the last few verses that we mentioned. Um, and there are some who have this habit of reciting the entire Surah Al-Baqarah, mashallah. And it's a long one, as we know, mashallah. So I just wanted to ask, why is there so much emphasis on it? To make it, is it a cultural thing, or is it embedded in the Sunnah? So if you could, inshallah, whoever would like to start with that. Can I pick? Can I pick on someone? Sheikh AbdulNasir, you looks very excited when I mentioned it. There was something in your eyes.
Yeah. So there's an authentic narration from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Sahih Muslim, in which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "La taj'alu buyutakum maqabira." Don't turn your homes into graveyards. Inna shaytana yanfiru min al-bayt alladhi tuqra'u fihi Surah Al-Baqarah. That shaitan flees from the home in which Surah Al-Baqarah is read. And there's another narration also.
Could you repeat that, Sayyidi? Shaitan flees from the home
in which Surah Al-Baqarah is recited.
Yeah.
And there's another similar narration also in Sahih Muslim, where the end of the narration says, "Iqra'u al-Baqarata fa inna akhdaha baraka wa tarkaha hasra wa la tastati'uha al-batala as-sahara." That the Prophet ﷺ said, read Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Baqarah, because reading it and having it in your life, clinging to it, is a source of blessing in a person's life. And a person not having Surah Al-Baqarah in their life is a source of great remorse and regret. And the sorcerers and the people who engage in this kind of evil practice, demonic practices, they cannot overcome it, right? It defeats them. So kind of in the lingo of the kids, Surah Al-Baqarah is undefeated, right? So so that's part of the big reason why it's remained as a tradition in Muslim societies, Muslim cultures, Muslim families, to have that reading of Surah Al-Baqarah very consistently.
Yeah, I would just like to add a follow-up question. If you don't know how to recite it, does listening to it also count as protection for your home?
One of my teachers made this particular point, that when you look at these particular narrations that talks about reading Surah Al-Baqarah, it doesn't put kind of a deadline on it. It doesn't put, some kind of a limitation on it that you got to read the whole thing in one night. You got to read the whole thing in one sitting. You got to read the whole thing in one day. It doesn't put a deadline on it. So what that theoretically could mean is, if my capacity is I can read one verse at a time, and I read the first verse, then the next day I read the second verse, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and you get basically, it'll take almost a whole year to read all of Surah Al-Baqarah. But the Prophet ﷺ is saying it has his virtue, it has his blessing, it provides his protection. So be it. So even if somebody can just do one verse a day, do what you can do, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the virtue and the blessing of it, right? Inna rahmati wasi'at kulla shay. Allah's mercy is not limited and restricted by these kinds of confines. And so as long as a person is pursuing that practice based off of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then inshallah will give them the virtue of it.